Namaskar. I'm Shovana Narayan, the Kathak dancer, and I'm extremely grateful to the TEDx Heritage Girls School for making me part of this TEDx program. I was just mulling over and thinking to myself how life has made me learn new things every moment. And two incidents which I'd love to share with all of you is that the first being several decades ago when I was being known as a young professional Kathak dancer. I had this very prestigious program in a very prestigious auditorium in Bombay. And when, of course, I came in, till then, I was always on stage, but my guru was always with me or somebody else who was, sort of pulling the apron strings and guiding me subtly what to do. This time I was completely on my own. And I had a very famous tabla player of those days called Ustad Latif Ahmed Khan accompanying me on the tabla. And the moment I came in, all kinds of thoughts come into your mind. This is the Thatang and this. So it went on. I think I forgot when to cut it short and move on to the next one. Because in Kathak, we have this entire mobility and the ability to keep changing our program, which we call Swechakrit, according to our wishes. How long to make an item or how short to make an item while on stage itself. And that is a very big demand on the artist. And it requires judiciousness. But till then, it was my first learning experience in that. When I came, I found the audience was appreciative. But later on, when it extended, after about 20-25 minutes, then almost time came when I thought I was going to be, I would have to leave the stage. And my parents were in the wings, my sister was in the wings. They were getting very worried and nervous because they saw my nervousness growing. And I almost went back into the into the wings, and suddenly something snapped within me. And I said, I have to push aside what I had learned in the classroom or what till then I have to take the reins in my own hand. And I made my chakkars, my pirouettes, came back center stage, and then I went straight from the very slow speed to the medium speed and started my program. And of course, I had won the day. It was in my hand. That was the first. It allowed me to learn the fact that there's a lot of difference between what you learn in the class or if you have somebody guiding you, but when you're on your own, how do you deal with the situation? How much of judiciousness there is without compromising on one's essential purity of the art style or what the whole art demands, the ethics of the art. That is important. That was the first incident which really made me change my entire perspective to life, that there's no such thing as hard and fast rules. You have to keep changing. That was number one. Number two, again as a Kathak dancer I'm talking about, I think it was in the year 1918, or was it 79? I'm not too sure, but I'll have to look up my reviews to see which year it was. And I was performing again in the sweltering heat of June in Patna. And once again to a fabulous audience, very appreciative, full of connoisseurs. Well, again, the same 20 minutes, 25 minutes after the start of the program, the lights suddenly went off. Now, that put everybody, there was a little bit of rustle in the auditorium, but I continued. Having learnt my lesson a decade earlier, I continued. Fortunately, in Kathak, we have our footwork. So I went into the entire genre of footwork, from the sound of the whispering sound of the feet to the stamping and roar of the thunder, even to the romance of the shuffling feet. I just did footwork. It went on and on and on. And suddenly till somebody brought in a candlelight. And once the candlelight came in, I looked at it, I sat down, and then started doing my Abhinay pieces. Just made a small indication to my musicians, and we went into the Abhinay sequences. I thought people would leave. No, they did not. They were there, fixed, rooted to the chairs. Then after some time, the lantern was brought in, because by then I think it was 45 or 50 minutes were over, but the lantern was brought in. And again, the moment the lantern, I had more light, 2-3 lanterns were lighting up the stage, and now I could play around with the shadows, I could play around with movement, I could play around with space. After some time, Petromax was brought in. So again, along with the Petromax and the lanterns, the stage was lit up. And then, of course, then I went into my full flurry and started performing. And this performance lasted in that darkness for well over 2 hours. Sweltering heat of June. Now, what did it show me? What did I learn from that experience? That there's never a situation will always come when it will be testing you, testing your mettle, testing how you utilize what you know, how you utilize, and how do you mold it accordingly. And the second thing was also a learning, that how does movement and light and movement, the close interconnection with that, and the utilization of space, the utilization of choreography, the emotions, the emotion with a small candle, flickering candle, is very different when you have a full bright light. Now, all these were learning experiences, and the next year I did a piece on just lights on the feet only, with just footwork. It was a 10-15 minute piece, and then which later on became more and more and more. And now, of course, people have started following it, but I remember that there was something, why is she doing it like that? But it was something, a learning experience. It was also a learning experience that if you do something on your own and something different, there will be, since people have their own mindset of thinking, they will be taking their time in understanding. Another aspect, in those days, starting a program with your back or wearing black in color on stage was total taboo. Now I'm talking about the 50s, 60s and 70s. But I started doing it, and I was, I also got fabulously critical comments, but again, fabulously amazing reviews. So, but one learnt in the bargain. Then you start reading up and you see how much there is to learn. Life is full of learning. Full of learning. There's never a moment when we never learn. We are so used to a certain mindset of how society should behave, how society expects us to behave. Well, if that had been so, then we would still be here. We would not be here because we would have been there in the dark ages or the ancient ages. But yes, we have progressed, we have come. But everything asks us to revisit, relearn. Imagine a time when all of us, today we are able to go out and do anything. But a time in the 18th century, 19th century, 20th century, when women were not given the freedom of education. Yet today, it is part of our growing up procedure. Look how life is changing for us. Today, the coronavirus. Did you and I ever think that we would witness such a day as that of a lockdown inside the spaces of our house? Well, we have been doing it. The question is, how do you deal with it? How do you deal with those challenges? In other words, what all I have said is that life is full of obstacles and challenges and will always be so. If there were no obstacles, that would not be life itself. So life is full of obstacles, full of challenges. The question is, with what courage, with what determination do we deal with that? And as far as skill is concerned, that is what education gives us. That is what observation gives us. Because observation is an equally powerful instrument of learning. Observation is an equally powerful instrument of understanding how to deal with life in case we are judicious enough. Also, at the same time, observation is a very powerful instrument to tell us how do we unlearn. The whole process that I had, all these incidents that I've related were all related to unlearning what had been expected by society and what was being done and what we were following in society. But somebody has the challenges are thrown up and we take up those challenges and we come forward. Coronavirus. Isn't it beautiful? I haven't felt hemmed down with it because it has given me a chance to learn a new medium of how to conduct classes online. It has given me a chance to unlearn what I had been, the methodology of teaching, which is very important for a physical class, but how to keep relearning how to teach or perform or whatever through a virtual medium. So it's a very different medium. Unlearning is a process which we require to learn and grow ourselves. It is us. Each one is an individual. We cannot be stagnant. Neither life is not stagnant. A day is not stagnant. The seasons are not stagnant. The entire universe is not stagnant at all. Therefore, every process is a new cycle and we have to learn how to deal with it. And it reminds me, we are in India, we are so used to talking about Manu and Manu's precepts. But there's one little verse that I would like to mention before signing off. And that is from chapter 4. And it says, Paritajyate. Now, it's a Sanskrit verse, but in a sense it means that please don't hesitate to unlearn in order to learn something new, which again you might have to unlearn in order to learn something new again. So it says, do not hesitate to throw the rules and regulations aside, to throw old rituals aside, to abrogate, modify, and amend and move forward and learn new things while unlearning the old. So that is life. And that is also what our sages have said. It is, and each one of us, in some way or the other, are practicing it. But we do not realize it. And I wish everyone all the best. And once again, I would like to thank all of you, members of the audience, and the TEDx Girls Heritage School team for making me part of this program. Thank you.